This episode is brought to you by Denver Film. 3 years after Christopher Nolan delivered his massive hit, Oppenheimer, he's back with an audacious adaptation of The Odyssey. It's one of the most anticipated films of the year and a true big screen event. So get your tickets now to see it on 35mm, only at the C Film Center, Denver's only nonprofit independent art house theater. This is the kind of epic, larger-than-life cinematic experience that deserves to be seen with an audience. Whether you're a longtime Nolan fan or simply love movies, this is a rare opportunity to experience a modern master's latest work in a truly special format. Tickets are on sale now at the box office at the C Film Center or visit denverfilm.org. Welcome to CityCast Denver. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. So today we're talking about the proposed cuts to RTD's bus and light rail routes that could be coming, an Australian influencer's trip to Denver, and you, our dear listeners' thoughts on where to get delicious handheld apple pies, plus our wins and fails of the week. Coffee shop connoisseur, world traveler, friend of public transit, Michelle Jackson. Hello.
Hello. Don't mind me while I sweat. It's so hot.
It's okay. It's okay. I have a mediocre working swamp cooler, so I'm with you. Before we get into it really quickly, I have to ask you all a favor if you are listening right now. CityCast Denver is doing our annual listener survey, and it would really help us out if you took it. So this is our chance to learn more about you and what you want from this show so we can serve you and the rest of the city better. If you took it last year, awesome. Thank you. Please do it again. We want fresh data. We want to learn more about what you want from this show, and we want to learn more about you. Just go to citycast.fm/survey to fill out the survey. It's only 7 minutes long. I promise. We timed it. It won't take too much of your day. And if you take the survey, you are entered to win a $250 Visa gift card and some cool CityCast Denver swag. Again, citycast.fm/survey. Please do it. Okay. My business is out of the way. We are talking RTD. RTD is in trouble. Girl is broke. So in the spring, we learned that our public transit provider was facing a $250 million budget shortfall. So cuts would be coming. This week, we learned what some of those cuts could be. There's a couple proposals out there. And Denverite's big headline on this was especially interesting to me because we're always talking about downtown. So Denverite's was reporting, hey, by the way, among the dozens of routes identified for cuts or elimination was the discontinuation of the 16th Street Mall ride, which has been a staple of the mall, the street, since I can remember. Michelle, before we get into these other cuts, what did you think about the potential elimination of the shuttle that runs along 16th Street?
You're going to be shocked by what I'm about to say. So I was walking around. You know how you forget things and then you walk and you're like, oh, I remember thinking about this. So when the mall was undergoing its glow up during COVID, one of the things that I kept saying online, I'm on record somewhere on Twitter or somewhere, I was like, this is the opportunity for it to be completely car free. And that it is actually a mistake that we are putting the shuttles there because we've already added an additional route that runs on 17th. And so I was very vocal in saying that if we're going to double down on this new experience of 16th Street Mall, that we should just go all in. And I've lived in other, places. I've traveled a lot, and I've been to countries and cities that have significantly longer car-free thoroughfares where people just walk up and down. Buenos Aires is actually one of those places. Even though I didn't really love the city, I did love the walking area where you could go up and down. It was stunning. It was really a beautiful experience. And I feel like Denver people are very up for that. I feel like there are very few American cities with these kinds of car-free spaces, and I think it's a huge opportunity. I think sometimes it's not always we already have a rerouted bus. That's the other thing called the Metro. What is it called? It's like the Metro something.
It's called the free Metro ride.
Yes.
which we're going to get into that. But I have a question for you when you're talking about this particular thing.
Mhm.
So along 16th Street, it is there's wide sidewalks on both
Yep.
sides, and then there's the center for the shuttles to run, and then at each intersection of a street, cars go through there. Is that what you're talking about, or are you thinking about are you thinking about 16th Street as like a vehicle free
Vehicle free,
situation?
with the
Really? So no
exception.
bus.
No bus. Just get rid. I said it the whole time. Why are we
Okay.
keeping the bus? So I said it quite a bit. I was like, just make it car free, with the exception of the north to south, routes. Obviously, people have to get through downtown. Make it car free. And I want to point out the one of the activations that they did when the mall went back online, if you will, last year, where they had a market. And it was so cool. I don't understand why we haven't really done that again, but whatever. But they opened up the mall and we were walking up and down, and it was just a really, really amazing experience. And I actually ran into Paul that day. We were walking up and down. It was just amazing. And I feel like some of the conversation we're about to have later on in the show would be like that density of people could occur when we have the space for people to just roam freely.
Sure. And so let's step into what you were just about to talk about, which is the free metro ride, which
Mhm.
is it runs a similar route from 16th Street. It's just a few blocks over. It's like a circular on 18th and 19th Streets downtown.
Mhm.
Um, that is also proposed to be cut, which I found interesting.
One or the other, but it can't be both. Dang, people. So for me, the free mall ride would be the one that I would personally cut. Again, because I believe that 16th Street should just be car free. And we have already had the experience of not having transit on that street because they worked on it for 3 years. So
Yeah.
this is not something we haven't experienced before. Before someone comes at me.
No. And I think what's really interesting here, too, is a big part of this conversation about downtown ongoing is that less people are down there for work now. And my thought is maybe if I was an office worker and I was going to lunch, the 16th Street Mall ride would be awesome, right? I was just going to say you could ride up to Rock Bottom, but they just closed that. So, but with less of those folks there, I do wonder if the shuttle is as useful as much as it's just sort of a tourist attraction. Like, I don't know if it's not attraction is the right word. I always go back to when I was a kid and we would go
Mhm.
downtown and the Tabor Center was where we went. I mean, that's where all the shops were, Sharper Image, Contempo Casuals,
579.
5-7, all these things that like are in my mind, which don't exist anymore. But part of
No.
that trip was riding on the shuttle with my
Yeah.
mom. But it was more of like a fun experience. And I don't know if it's as helpful as much as, like you said, maybe just keeping it vehicle free and allowing it just to be a total space for pedestrians. And I don't know, maybe keep that other metro ride, like you're saying, if it is for the office workers that need to get to the, or the folks or anybody that's working downtown in general. I shouldn't just say office workers that need to get, from one end of the mall to the other, because that's the idea. But yeah, I am curious. Maybe this is it's one of many cuts, we should say, that are being proposed. And maybe let's talk about that really quickly. So beyond the mall ride, and the free metro ride, which they've talked about cutting, there's the B line to Westminster, which connects that Denver metro suburb to Union Station. And it looks like that's on every proposal. So I think that's going to get cut. Cutting that rail line in particular to Westminster and back, Denverite reports could save RTD $19 million. And it is a minimally used line. It's just 148,000 passenger boardings per year with a cost of $48 per person. If they break down the cost of the line and with the amount of folks that are riding it. So when you're looking at numbers like that, I mean, it makes sense why this is something they would be looking at. But also I think about light rail and the promise of light rail, right? And, you and I grew up here. It was such a huge deal that we were getting rail service in the city. How that ended up panning out is, many different opinions on that, but that's one of the things they're looking at here. The L line could be limited service. The T line and R line could also get cut altogether. Do you feel like, Michelle, this is like the promise of light rail never delivered, so now we're just going to stop using it?
No. I think that there are a couple of things at play. I think that we always need to circle back to how COVID impacted everything. So I believe that there have been many good things that have happened because of light rail. I love that people will opt to take light rail to go to a show, to go to a Rockies game,
Yeah.
so people do use it. If we're talking 2026 and the impact of, why things aren't working with transit, COVID is still why. Like, Denver people aren't working in the offices downtown because we are the one group of people who are going to cling to work like hybrid and work from home. You're going to have to pry that out of our cold hands, right? I think that Denver's a car-focused city and a car-centered city, and I think that we have to activate transit in a different way than we have been. So for me, I actually think it's an activation issue and a trust issue versus office workers who are using the transit.
What do you mean with the trust issue? I want to hear more about what you think about that.
So I'm really fortunate because where I live in Denver, I am able to access light rail and buses very easily. They're frequent, like no matter what happens, they're always going to be there, right? If I'm further down the line, it can feel like a crapshoot. And so I think for a lot of people who were very open to riding transit, that is an issue. You have to believe that it's going to come. Okay.
You're just talking about the basic service. Like, this bus says it's going to come and it never does, or it comes 20 minutes later. It's not reliable. So that's where the trust issue comes in, you're saying.
The other issue is perception of safety.
Sure.
And I say this as a person who has been taking RTD since, like, variations of RTD, what have you, since I was a child. So I am a lifelong user of these services. And there are moments like earlier this week when the craziest man in Denver was on the bus where all of us got off. We were like, we gotta go. We gotta go. Okay. And that happens because it's called public transit for a reason. Things happen. People need to be served.
Sure.
And I feel like we need just new energy around activating transit in Denver. I think for me, instead of cutting service, like, how are we attracting revenue? How are we attracting riders? How are we, like, those are the questions I want to ask. It's capitalism in America. I need more text, like more rappers around, like the things that wrap around the bus, not rappers like the singers. I need
the bus raps, yes.
Yeah,
like
the bus
advertisements.
raps. I need more advertisements. I need more like collaborations. I need to have money being brought in, and contracts with facilities and things like that to offset some of these expenses in addition to tightening up service, but the service that we have has to be really good. And then of course we have to talk about they had to fix everything because the service, the infrastructure is old, so they had to renew everything. So it was just a perfect storm of crap.
Yeah, and you're talking about after COVID, there was still a lot of work being done still currently happening, being done on the light rail tracks themselves. So let's talk about the money part, because these service cuts, so to be clear, these are proposals. There is I think 5 proposals that are going to go before RTD's finance committee next week when they will be probably making these decisions. And this is looking at 5 to 20% cuts in service. 20% cuts in service. That's a fifth of RTD's bus and light rail lines. That's a lot. But the other thing they're possibly recommending is raising fares and a tax hike that could go to voters. What do you think about that avenue for dealing with the budget?
I feel like, remember when we had the Zero Fare for Better Air initiative and the ridership went up? I think about this a lot. Ridership went up.
It was like a month or a couple months in the summer.
It was summer. Most
Ozone
of summer.
alerts were wild, and they made the bus free. to get
Yeah.
folks out of their cars and on the bus.
So my question becomes, how can we do that again? Like, having a bus system and transit is a public good and service. Gas prices are going up. Okay.
Yes.
It's just a fact. So people sooner or later are incentivized to take the bus or light rail because gas is expensive. I've seen these people. I've heard them complaining. I've heard them talking about it. We're actually at a point where we could encourage more ridership just because things are expensive. Why on earth would we raise the price of transit when gas was almost $5 a gallon at that weird,
Yes.
stop on Spear? Like, I'm just saying, I feel like they need a little more time. Okay.
I think the RTD board would tell you, but Michelle, if we give people free bus rides, we're definitely not making money on it. But I see what you're saying, but the incentivization might create more people using the bus if they had that opportunity, maybe to try it for longer for free. So this is so deep. These proposals are going in front of the Finance Committee next week. I will put some links in the show notes if you want to look at all of the routes that are possibly being cut. And we will be talking about this again as these proposed scenarios go before the committee and then the outcomes. So please stay tuned. I know you all have thoughts on RTD. I would love to hear from our listeners on what they think about these latest proposals. Give us a call, 720-500-5418 on the What is Up with RTD's Budget hotline. Please let us know what you think. And again, give us the questions that you want to ask RTD, because I think that we will be bugging them and asking them those specific questions. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dig into our mailbag to hear from you all, our lovely listeners, about some stuff that Michelle and I talked about last week. Okay, Michelle. So last week we talked about your unhappiness with the McDonald's bringing back the fried apple pie. And I will tell you, after I went and tried one in advance of our conversation, I have gone back since and gotten another one. I thought
They're
it was
so good.
so delicious.
But they're just not hot enough. So that's the issue. I have to throw it in the air fryer.
We asked folks like, okay, what's your favorite local place to get something like this? And we've got a voicemail. And let's take a listen to that right now.
Hey, Bree, it's Kimberly J. from Thornton. I wanted to throw out another handheld pie that we have just discovered recently, and it's called Hinman. They're a local bakery company, and actually they often sell their handheld pies, and they're delivered through the Longmont Dairy. But anyway, they do like a 3-pack that has an apple and a blueberry and I believe a cherry. Trying to remember, but anyway, you bake them at home, and they're just delish. So Hinman pies. Yeah, that's my suggestion. Love this topic. Thanks. Keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, Kimberly, bad news. Hinman Pie shut down. I actually Googled this, Michelle, when we were looking, and I was going to recommend this place. And I'm so glad that Kimberly did, just because she could talk a little bit about what makes it lovely. And also, I should say, she recommended this. This came through Longmont Dairy. If you're able to order from Longmont Dairy, they deliver amazing. I mean, I'm a milk freak myself, and they deliver delicious milk and all kinds of things. But unfortunately, Hinman is gone. No,
that's so sad.
I know. But we did get another recommendation. Thank you, Kimberly, by the way. I hope you find another place. This might be a good recommendation. We got a text. Taste of Denmark was recommended. Delicious handheld apple pies and way more. Michelle, have you been to Taste of Denmark? I'm embarrassed to say I haven't yet. Oh, we got to go.
Totally
Maybe
open
we should make
for
a date and go.
Let's do it. Let's go.
We got to check that out.
Okay.
We got another voicemail about your farmers market comment. So we were talking about farmers markets last week, and you were talking about your concerns of the oversaturation of certain vendors across the spectrum and not offering enough variety. And we actually got a voicemail from a vendor in particular. So let's hear that.
Hi, CityCast. I have a comment on the farmers market comments from Thursday. I am a new vendor at Harvey Park Farmers Market, and our market is awesome because it's mostly new vendors. There's a few returning vendors who do the other markets as well. And I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't in my neighborhood. I sell Harvey Park flowers, and I think what Justine was getting at about finding unique vendors is maybe the ones who do it as a side hustle or only one market that's close to them. And I can tell you from my experience, the work feels like a full-time job, but the income from a single market is not, for me, has not been a full-time income. So I'm still working a traditional job as well, which means I'm working, it feels like every waking hour. And so I think that is one of the reasons that you'll see a lot of the same vendors at all the markets, is in order to make it a full-time job for themselves and maybe an employer too.
Mm.
So thanks so much for talking about us. We love when the customers support us. That will make it more likely that these unique vendors stick around because we need to be able to sell enough in a single market to potentially even stay in business longer than a year. Thanks, CityCast. Love your show. Bye.
I love the vendor perspective. I think that was super helpful. Also, shout out. I think we talked about Harvey Park Farmers Market.
Yes.
That just being just an exciting thing to exist in this part of the city over kind of on my side of town. And that was just really, I thought that was a really sweet perspective.
I appreciated it. I love Harvey Park, partly because most of the vendors are unique to me.
Yeah.
So it just was a really beautiful experience to go and see all these new spots and talk to these new entrepreneurs and makers. And yeah, I agree with her. I mean, I feel that. I get it. I understand, but
the math is hard to math there. I think anytime you're doing a small business of any kind, and like she said, it's like having a full-time job on top of your full-time job. But folks, go check out Harvey Park Flowers when you go to the Harvey Park Farmers Market. I'm going to have to wander by. I thought that was such a nice recommendation.
Get a bouquet.
Yeah, get a bouquet. Get a beautiful bouquet. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, if you are a CityCast Denver neighbor, you get a bonus segment this week, which involves me raging about influencers and their view of Denver. And believe me, I am very ragey about this because I will not tolerate uninformed Colfax slander. But you have to be a member to hear that segment. So if you're not, I hope I have enticed you. Click the link in the show notes and join us now. We're going to go take a little break. We'll be back. This episode is brought to you by Denver Health. Summer in Colorado means trails, sunshine, and sometimes the unexpected. John Froelich felt off during a hike west of Denver. He drove straight to Denver Health, where doctors found he was having a serious heart attack. Denver's healthcare team got him the treatment he needed fast. And 6 months later, John crossed the finish line at the Colfax Half Marathon. John's story is a reminder of what can happen when Coloradans go out and live their summer. With locations across Denver, a clinic in Winter Park, and virtual care available 7 days a week, Denver Health is never far from wherever summer takes you. At Denver Health, they're with you for life's journey. Learn more at denverhealth.org/survivorstory. That's denverhealth.org/survivorstory. This episode is brought to you by the Colfax Avenue Business Improvement District. Celebrate Colfax at the 4th Annual Colfax Indie Bash on Wednesday, July 22nd from 6 to 9 p.m. at Pete's Satire Lounge, featuring us. That's right, we'll be doing a live CityCast Denver recording with some great special guests. You don't want to miss it. This free community celebration features local food and drinks, art, music, the characters of Colfax Awards, and more. Plus, there's good reason to arrive early besides, hanging out with me and the rest of the CityCast Denver crew, because the first 50 people in the door will receive a limited edition canvas Colfax tote bag. Stop by the We Back the Facts booth to snag your Fax Pass to unlock discounts and prizes along the East Colfax corridor. Then get in the independent spirit and check out your fave Colfax businesses during Indie Week, running July 26th through August 1st. Use your tote bag at participating Indie Week retailers on Colfax to receive 10% off. Don't miss it. Plan your week at colfaxab.com/indie-week. That's colfaxab.com/indie-week. We'll see you there. Okay, we're back. As always, with wins and fails, we start with things that sucked so we can end on a good note. Michelle, what is your fail this week?
So my fail, it's all transit related. Allegedly, Denver is Colorado is the fifth highest, has the fifth highest rate of road rage in the U.S. This is according to a Lending Tree survey. That sucks.
Yes.
So, hey, we're looking forward to cutting bus service. That's awesome.
Good,
So
good
it's
correlation here. Great correlation here.
tied together. Okay. Fail.
Yeah. So we talked about this earlier this week, me and David Sirota, and we talked a little bit about the public transit component and how that could alleviate this for folks if you were actually just maybe sitting on a bus and reading a book or, like catching up on your show or whatever on your phone instead of driving and screaming at people or stopping in the middle of I-70 and trying to fight somebody, which is wild and happened.
Crazy.
So also, if you have a road rage story, I'm such a masochist. I want to hear it. Give us a call, 720-500-5418. Tell me your horrifying road rage story. My fail this week, ICE announces plans to open another facility in Colorado. This is in Hudson, Colorado. The government has signed a 5-year contract with a private prison company, GEO Group, that will effectively double Colorado's immigration detention capacity to about 2,700 beds. Of course, this deal is such a sweet deal for GEO. They make $528 million off of it. I want to remind folks, last year, the ACLU of Colorado filed a lawsuit in an attempt to get information about this plan because they were having trouble getting information from the government about this plan. The documents did reveal that this facility was on the table, and immigration advocates have been protesting and sounding the alarm about this long before the contract was signed. I just want to say, if you are enraged as I am and you want to do something about it, there's a great group here called Casa de Paz, which is the main organization that supports folks coming out of detention in Aurora right now. And now they're going to have to be scrambling to figure out how to serve people in Hudson, which is much more remote. They help people with food, resources, basic needs, making connections with family upon release, getting them clothes, really basic stuff. I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to volunteer or donate. And tonight, you can go to Fort Greene, starting at 6 p.m. There's a wonderful group here called the Colorado Trans Immigrant Fund, and they are putting on an event that they support trans folks coming out of immigration detention and in these various situations being held by ICE here in Colorado. But this fundraiser involves performances and testimonies from folks in the community. I'll put a link in the show notes. You can donate directly there. You can meet some of these folks. You can meet the community. I would love to see folks come out and support this, as well as supporting Casa de Paz if you can, because this is how we can push back against the situation. Because I hope the protests continue to work, but as far as we know, this contract has been signed and Hudson will be hosting another ICE facility here in Colorado. Okay, wins. Let's do wins. Michelle, what's your win?
By the way, I want to mention that I used to always take the bus from Boulder to the airport. So side note, because I listened to that episode this week. So I was like, David, have you ever taken the bus from Boulder to the airport? But anyway, that being said, this is cool. I was reading The Westword and I'm super excited about this. There is a local producer called Mac D and a hip hop artist. His name is DNA Picasso, and they've collaborated on this album of Colorado-based R&B and hip hop artists. And that album, or 2 albums, are releasing tomorrow, July 17th.
So actually it'll be today. As when you hear this, it'll be tonight.
Oh, my bad.
So you got 2 events to go to. Okay.
And so I love this because I love collecting Colorado music, from Coloradans that isn't John Denver. So I'm super excited about this. I'm not hating on John. I'm just saying we do more than just John. Okay.
We do so much more.
During the UMS, there's actually going to be a listening experience for this album on July 26th at Beacon Denver from 6 to 8 p.m. And so I sadly cannot attend, but I hope that by sharing this, other people can attend and support this work and this music. And I'm super excited.
Go out, support it, meet the artists. I'm sure they'll be there. that makes all the difference to me. I think there's nothing more exciting, especially as an artist, when you meet folks that don't know you personally yet that have come out to support your music. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes. My win is super quick. The Ross Phyllis Big Pond Branch Library is officially reopened in Barnum. We had our big grand opening last weekend. It was closed for 2 years for remodels and then some of the budget stuff. This is a couple blocks west of First and Knox. Lovely library, lovely folks that work there. I just want to remind folks, this is the former Ross Barnum branch. It's in the Barnum neighborhood. It was renamed the Ross Phyllis Big Pond branch after a local Native American leader who helped found the Denver Indian Family Resource Center, which is an incredible resource here in Colorado, in Denver. And I just, got to get excited about another library reopening. This is it's a very small branch, but it's so beautiful. And the folks that work there are so nice and so helpful. So go out and check out our libraries.
Libraries rock.
Libraries forever. Librarians are my favorite people. Oh, love it. Well, Michelle, as always, I had so much fun with you. Thank you for joining me.
Yay. I had fun. Bye, guys.
Bye. That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. Our producers this week were Jason Patton, Lizzie Goldsmith, Paul Caroli, and Olivia Jewel Love. Michelle Polizzi writes our morning newsletter. I'm Bree Davies, your host. Our music is by Los Mocachetes, with additional mixing by Tyler Lindgren. Our ad music is by Cuba Quartet from Epidemic Sounds via Getty Images. If you haven't already, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and tell Australian influencer Harry, aka Has, about us next time you see him. You can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Denver neighbor today at membership.citycast.fm. You can sign up for our daily newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. See you next week.